Hi, my name is Kjersti and this is the Knitting Diaries. And there has also been a lot of crochet happening. It is, oh shoot, I forgot the numbers upstairs. Anyway, I think I can remember. I intended to film a little tidbit about numbers almost a month ago. So you're getting numbers right now, because why not? I like numbers. Though some of these numbers are not, well, in a way they're to my liking. In another way they were like, oh dear, that was more than I expected. I have been working on using yarn that I have, and I will show you something later that kind of defeats the whole purpose, I guess. But I have been working on using yarn that I have, making stuff. And I'm gonna show you a lot, because I've been making a lot. And yeah, the numbers first. I'm a little all over the place today, as usual, so bear with me. First, the numbers. I took all my wool yarn out of my bookshelf and I weighed it, and that's now been put away for the summer, or at least to an extent. And that weighed in, or weighed out, I guess, from the bookshelf on 3,035 grams. So it's just about 3 kilos of wool yarn. And I first weighed it in, let's see if I remember, February 25th. And then I had about 4.2, 4.3 kilos. So I feel like I did a good job for 2 months there. So the weigh-in happened May 1st, and I'm filming this on May 31st. So tomorrow I will have another weigh-in. But that was my wool yarn. I felt very happy about all I did, and I have a couple items that I finished in the end of, last month, as in April. A few things with wool yarn, April stuff. But for May 1st, when I took all the wool yarn out of my bookshelf, I switched it with cotton yarn. And I weighed all my cotton yarn while putting it on the bookshelf, and I kind of wish I had good footage of that, because I took it out of basically a storage box and weighed it in, wrote down the number, and I don't have a big scale, so there were a lot of things happening. Weighed it in, wrote down the number, and put the yarn on the shelf. And then when I was done moving all the yarn, I added together all the numbers of what I had of cotton, and I knew it was quite a bit, and it was more than I expected. Because when I was done adding the numbers up, and I was sitting on the floor doing it, and I'm kind of happy I was sitting on the floor, because I just sat there when I saw the final number of how much cotton yarn I had. I just sat and laughed until tears were running out of my eyes. I laughed for 10 minutes. It was a very good laugh. And when I think about it now, it kind of makes me want to laugh again, because I feel like it's so ridiculous for me. The final result, May 1st, of how much cotton yarn I started off with was 7,775 grams. So basically 7.8 kilos of cotton yarn. That's a lot. Like, a lot. And most of it, I don't have a full one to show you, but a lot of it is in these. So it's a very, very thin yarn. And I'm making stuff here, and I'm using a crochet needle that is 1.5 millimeters, because that is how thin yarn this is. And these things have like a cardboard thingy inside them to keep them looking like this. And some of them weigh slightly different, I believe. So that is included in the almost 7.8 kilos. But still, that is a lot of cotton yarn, especially since the majority of it is in these things. So this yarn is not made to like use it for clothing or anything. It's like table runners and stuff like that. So I have a lot, I have some of that to show off. So that was the number. As I said, today is May 31st, so tomorrow is June 1st, and I'm gonna weigh it all in again to see how much I have managed to use, because the cardboard thingy, yeah, it's a whole thing. But first, I'm gonna show you all the things that I've made in the month of May, and I'm very happy with the result. And I'm also gonna show you some new stuff that I've gotten, and that also led to a fair good amount of laughs. So let's just jump in. The first thing I finished by the end of last month, as I said, were the two of these. These are wrist warmers, because that's what I do with wool yarn. This is not pure wool. This is 50% baby alpaca and 50% silk. And the tag is right there. And these are, I mean, I was working on using up yarn, so they're a limited amount of yarn, so yeah. These are, I used the needle 3mm. There are 48 stitches in a round, and they're 11 centimeters. And then the thing about like trying to show you the pattern. But these are super soft, and they're not very long, but they're like super delicate. And you know, silk is a soft material. So I feel like these can like be like, if you want to dress up a little and you have cold hands, this is the perfect solution. But if you feel like those are a little too short, I have the exact same yarn, and I used the exact same thing, except these are 17 centimeters. So these are a lot longer and slightly different in they don't have as many holes in them as their intentional holes. I made a pattern for it. I will try to update my Ravelry page. I'm apparently really bad at that. Sorry, it happens, but I'm gonna try. But I like these. I like this color better because I'm not such a pink person, at least not this pink. This is not my type of pink. I don't really know if any pink is my kind of pink, but the blue ones, I really, really like them. And it just, they knit up pretty fast, and I really enjoy it. I just really also hope I get to sell all of it. And then I mentioned that I had weighed in my wool yarn and my cotton yarn, but I have more yarn that I have not weighed in. And this is an old tag because it's an old yarn. I don't know how long I've had this, but potentially like 20 years or more. It's acrylic, and I made leg warmers. Super simple, just 2x2 ribbing. And you know, if you have cold feet, you just put them on your leg, and you can either wear them like straight out, or you can kind of like crunch them up. Maybe not crunch them up, but like you can squish them together. It would not work for the arms, but you know, I love leg warmers because I am cold a lot, especially in winter. Then again, I'm capable of being cold in summer too, so anything and everything that is warm, I love it. And even though these are acrylic, these are just made. This is what I would call my editing knit, because I don't have to pay attention much. I could just sit and knit without looking at it because it's simple ribbing. But I love leg warmers because I'm often cold. And even though these are acrylic, and I'm not crazy about acrylics, but they do keep me warm. I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I probably have 6 pairs of the same yarn in different colors that I use. I'm hoping to sell these. I mean, how many pairs of leg warmers do I need? And the answer is many. They do get dirty, and I like to clean them occasionally. So, yeah, these are great. I love it. And they are machine washable, but I had a pair that I put in the machine, and I probably, come to think about it, I might have had it too warm. Because they ended up like, they didn't stretch anymore. They were just like, not good. Like, they were like all the way out. And it's like, nah, they're supposed to be stretchy. So I don't know what happened. Maybe they're just too old. I don't know. But either way, I love leg warmers. Oh, they are 82 stitches in the round and 3mm needles. And they're almost 44 centimeters long. So, you know, you can have pretty long lengths with these. And I don't know how much time I spent on these because they're my editing knits. I just start and then I just knit. And then we got to May and all the cotton yarn. And I have, the rest is either table runners or dishcloths because that's what worked with the yarn I currently had. And sometimes I get a little obsessed with patterns because I really like them. So I made 3 out of the same pattern. They're different colors though, so I'm gonna show them off one by one because they're all different yarns. So the first one, and I did them, it's a pattern, I don't know if I can find it online. But it's a pattern. I did not make it. If I can find it, I will, as I said, try to update my Ravelry page and link it. But I don't know how well it's gonna show up on camera. It's all these hearts, cute little hearts, and I did a little bit of modification on the pattern because it was supposed to have like, it's a Christmas themed one, so there are hearts and it's supposed to be snowflakes, and I kept the snowflakes, and also it's supposed to have more kind of empty rows in the middle, and I wasn't sure how much yarn it would take, so I kind of, and I think it's gauge what it's called. I never hit gauge. I don't know. Mine is not as wide as the pattern says because I'm doing it very tight. And no, just going up a needle size will not be enough. And also that would be weird with the yarn. So it's super cute though. I love it. And I finally woven in all the ends on all the things. That took me, I hate weaving in ends, so that always takes me a while. I kind of make something, put it away without weaving in the ends, and that is part of the reason. Oh no, did I make a mistake? No, okay. Part of the reason these knitting diaries don't always happen. But this is crochet. I forgot to mention, the first 3 things were knitting, but now we're in crochet land. And, you know, it's super cute, and I love it. And I hope someone else will love it too, so I can sell it. That's always my hope with all the things I'm currently making. And this is, I used 1.5mm needle, I think, yes. And the yarn is this yarn. It's also an older yarn. I have no idea when I got it, where I got it, how I got it. I don't know anything. But this is the tag for the yarn. And the sizing of this thing is, let's see, I have to look at the right one. This one. 27 times 78 centimeters long and wide. So 27 and then 78. And I did this in 8 days. And I thought I was really good. So I did not kind of challenge myself to do it faster, but the next one, which is this one, slightly different yarn. So I'm showing you the yarn first. This is the tag. I think this is probably newer than the green one. That's the tag. And here it is in white. And this one, everything else is the same. Even the size came out the exact same, which honestly I was a little surprised because I'm not very good at like when I knit, I get it very even. When I crochet, it's not as even, so that's something I'm working on. It's hard, but I'm working on it. But this one is, oh, there is one big difference. The green one weighed 89 grams. The white one, slightly different yarn, it ended up at 102 grams. So this is 13 grams more. I have no idea why or how, because it's the exact same size. And I used the same needle. And the first one, as I said, I used 8 days. This one I did in 7 days. And as I said, it's not a race, but it was kind of fun. And I was working hard, you know? So, as I said, I had one more. This beautiful, beautiful purple. I love this purple color. It's a completely different yarn. And I didn't bring the tag, I'm sorry. It is called kjerstigulli. And I can't find it anywhere. So that's a little unfortunate. I had started, I used this yarn for something else first, but it wasn't enough and I couldn't get it anywhere, so I ripped it out and made this one. And I'm very happy with it. It is different size than the other two, because this one is 26 across, but the length is 68, so it's a lot smaller. It's way shorter. Which is kind of interesting because I used 1.75 millimeter needle on this sew, so I used a bigger size needle and yet it ended up smaller. Yarn is a fascinating thing. And this one, maybe it's because it was smaller, maybe it's because I used a bigger needle, I don't know why, but this one I did in 5 days. So the green is 8, the white is 7, and then we have 5. But as I said, the size is also a lot smaller. So, as you can tell, I'm in love with this pattern. And I have yarn, I have a red yarn and I have a blue yarn that I might also do up in the exact same pattern because I really like it. So, yeah, as I said, I get obsessed with certain patterns. The last, or not technically the last crochet item, same yarn as the green one because this is also green. This is also crochet. This is also a table runner. Different pattern though. There are stars. I don't know how well you can see it, but I hope you can see it well. And it is a lot bigger, clearly. Can you see all of it? I don't know. I hope you can see a lot of it. But it's a lot bigger. And also, as I said, different pattern. And this is 156 grams, so it's a lot more. And this one, the size is 28 centimeters times 120, so it's more than a meter long. And it said that you needed 5 stars, so that's what I made. And I used obviously 1.5 millimeter needles because that is what the yarn wanted. And I keep looking down because that's where my book with my notes. And I used 11 days on making this. So I think that's a pretty good work. So yeah, those were all the table runners that I'm done with. I mean, I did so much in May and I'm very happy about it. And then random assortments of yarn that turned into dishcloths. And I'm gonna start with this one because I actually have the tag for the yarn. This is the yarn, and how well you can see it is always a question. But this, I'm not gonna say a lot about them. It's the dishcloth, and not much of a pattern, but it's basically a mix of knit and purl stitches. So that's it. Super easy. And I love it. And it's so soft. It makes me wanna, maybe not white because I don't usually wear white. I look not very healthy if I wear like bright white. And also it gets dirty so fast if I wear white. I mean, I can have white towels just fine, but wearing white clothes, nope. They don't stay white at all. I don't know what it is, but they don't. But white dishcloth, super quick and easy to make. I love making dishcloths. And yes, all the dishcloths are knitted. And I think you're about to turn off. Hold on. So, dishcloths. Mandarin Petite was that one. And then I have like a random assortment. I have no idea what kind of yarn this is. I just know that it's cotton. So, pink, purple, dishcloths. I made a lot of them in the same pattern. This is slightly different than the white. But front side, back side. And that's the thing. I don't really, on dishcloths and all, I don't really want it to be like a distinct front and back side. I just want them to like have two sides basically. But yeah, they're soft. So hopefully someone will be happy. And this is a lot thicker, this yarn. Yet again, I have no idea what kind of yarn it is. But it's so soft. I don't know. I like soft. You already know that if you've seen any of my other videos. And what? I misplaced one. Anyway, something disappeared. This, still the same pattern. This one actually has, and I mean, look at this tag. It has to be old. I mean, come on. Do you see, like, is this from the 80s? I don't know. The point is, I'm pretty sure it's an old yarn. Because look at this tag. I can't help but think, oh my god. So cool. So weird. So I don't even know. But it's probably old. I don't, yeah. So, yeah. I have a lot of dishcloths to sell now. And the last one is dual colored because I had like small scraps of yarn. And yeah, I really don't know. I think I lost something. Whoops. But it's a thicker yarn. It's super stretchy. I have, this is a yarn that I've used for a couple of my makeup powder removers. They're like tiny little nets that I used to remove my mascara with. And I've made some in this yarn. It's Paris. Oh no, wait. No man, I have it. I'll show it off. It's this yarn. This one. It's this yarn and I love it. I have made some makeup powder removers with this yarn. And it's super soft and it's very, this is this yarn. I haven't woven in the ends, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna weave in some of the ends, but I'm gonna make like a little loop on one of them too. So these are the same yarn, and then I have random yarns, and as I said, I just need to weave in the ends on all of these. Because I do use mascara, and it's nice to just use a little bit of water to get it all off. So I have a bunch of them. Do I need this many? No. Am I hoping to either sell or even give away some of these? Yes. But when you have like 5 grams of yarn, it's like, what do you do? Well, in my case, I made 2. Because, you know, what do you do with little random scraps of yarn or cotton? Makeup pattern removers. It's awesome. I love it because, you know, they're so easy. You wipe off the makeup and you put them in the laundry, and then you got new ones all the time when you have a lot. So those were the things that I'm done with. And then I did something more, because apparently I'm working on being an overachiever or something. I had this beautiful yellow yarn in my shelf, or on my shelf, and I was thinking, at least where I live, yellow is often connected with Easter and with eggs and with chickens, and I don't know why, but when Easter comes around, and yes, I know it's past now, but when it comes around, we eat a lot of eggs in this country. I'm from Norway, if you didn't know. And yellow, for some reason, is connected to this. And also, cute little chickens. So, I had this yarn, and I didn't find like a good pattern, and I thought, hey, I'm gonna try something new. Don't know if it's gonna work out. And this is not... I mean, I had to stop in the middle because I didn't have enough yarn. So it's literally stopped in the middle of a row. Or not even in the middle of a row, but in the beginning of a row. So, yeah. I tried to make a pattern. I'm not entirely happy with everything, so I have to rip it out and do it again. And it still won't be enough because I'm going to make it into a table runner because that's the type of yarn it is. But I have to say, and I made a lot of notes, and I did a lot of math, and I did not realize how much math goes into making a pattern. I mean, oh my God, and I haven't done math since school, which was like 20 years ago, so that was a challenge for my brain, I'm just saying. I kind of wish I knew a little bit more math now. Because everything has to add up, just width and lengthwise, and like with the pattern. It took me a few tries to get it all right, and then I wasn't happy with exactly how it was. So I'm gonna make this into a pattern, and before I put it anywhere, I'm gonna, as I said, rip this out, do the part that I can with this yarn to like really see it because of the color. And then I'm gonna do the whole thing, make a whole thing with a different yarn because I'm not gonna buy new yarn for this. And then if I'm still happy with it, if I get it how I want it, and if I'm happy with it, I am gonna do an experiment. I'm gonna put the pattern that I'm making, because I am making it, I'm gonna put it on Ravelry because I've seen that you can put pattern for sale on Ravelry. If anyone will buy it, I have no idea. I've never done it before. And also I have to figure out how to write a pattern, so it will be understandable for other people. And another challenge with that will be, I don't think a ton of people, and I might be wrong, but knitting is generally more popular than crochet, as far as I understand. And when people crochet, from what I've seen on YouTube, they crochet like bags and garments of different types. Table runners don't seem to be as popular, but that's a lot of the yarn that I have, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I don't know if anyone's gonna buy it if it ever gets published, but I'm gonna give it a shot. It's important to try new things. So I'm trying to make a pattern. I think I know how I want it to end up now, so I have to, as I said, rip it out, try it again, and then do the whole thing to see if the math is correct all the way through and not just like most of the way. And then I will figure out a way to write the pattern, and then I will put it out into the wall and keep my fingers crossed and someone wants to buy it. So, since I was a little discouraged because stopping in the beginning of the row because I was out of yarn, but I still had some ideas. So, I tried out a new idea. And that was also a lot of math. And I'm kind of in the middle of it now. So I'm trialing this pattern. And I don't know how well you can see it. But yes, it requires a lot of math. And it's a little bit more invisible in this yarn than I thought it would be. So I don't know if this is gonna be the best result, but I'm working on it. I'm trying new things, and I'm hoping, as with the yellow, that this will be a pattern that I can actually manage to write up so other people can understand what I want, or how I want it, or how I intend for it to be done. And then I'm gonna see if anyone wants to buy it. And I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. So that's all I've been working on, but I have some acquisitions. I have no idea what it's called in English, and I haven't really seen any knittubers talk about it in English. So I don't know if it's just a Norwegian thing. But then again, it does say counting my rows in English. I really hope my camera focuses. And in Norwegian, these are called strikkefisk, knitfish, directly translated to English, so I doubt it's that. But when you if you knit something, like if you knit an arm and you have to increase every 5th row, for instance, increase all the way up. Instead of putting yarn or counting and trying to do math and all, you could just use this one. It has all the numbers from 1 and up to 10. And I mean, this one was super cheap. It was like $50 or 50 Norwegian kroners, so super cheap. But it had something that the more expensive ones did not have. They're probably about better quality, but this one also had the tiny little tags for 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 50. So you could just add these in, because these are removable. And I don't know how to show you, but look, these can be moved. So this is an acquisition. I haven't tried it out yet, but I mean, it should be able to fit fairly big needles. Not that I use a lot of big needles. My needles when I knit is usually 3 and 3.5 millimeter. But I have bought something else. A lot of something else. I mean, I like yarn. I have a lot of yarn. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, the 3 kilos of wool yarn plus the 7.8 kilos of cotton yarn, that is more than 10 kilos of yarn. You'd think I have enough for a while. But then I went to my parents for a weekend, and not too far from where they live, there was a yarn store. And it was unfortunately closing down. And I had been talking about wanting to buy some yarn, which, as I said, I know, crazy, but for specific purposes. So I had specific purposes. I wanted yarn for a sweater, a new wool sweater, because I only have 2 and winter is cold. And I figured out that if I knit a wool sweater and I put a shirt under it with a collar, I can actually wear them without being scratched to death by myself. So that's awesome. So I really wanted to get yarn to knit a new wool sweater. I didn't really find that. And also, I had an idea how much I needed, but I didn't find the exact color that I wanted because the sale had been going on for a bit. The closing down sale, which is sad, but cheap yarn. Love that. So I didn't find that yarn. And I was also looking for, my butt gets cold in winter, so I wanted to buy yarn to knit a wool shorts to wear under skirts. in winter, so I could wear skirts in winter. Problem with that, I didn't know how much yarn I needed. And I also really want to knit a garter stitch blanket of wool yarn, so keep me warm in winter. Just plain simple garter stitch. And I wanted different greens, I wanted some browns, maybe some gray, not quite sure, but I wanted like earth tones, deep and muted and beautiful. So that was the things I was looking for. And me and my mom went there, we looked around, and I fell for a bit of yarn, because I always do. And, oh, I was sitting on it. I found the last, hello. This is the last, I'm gonna mention the yarn more. This was the last cloth that I thought I had gone missing. I was sitting on it. It happens, but beautiful, purple, love it. Soft. Anyway, self-distracting here. But in the store, I saw this yarn. And this is, see the tag there, and then the tag here. And I loved it. And I was like, oh, I love knitting socks, and I didn't have any more wool yarn, even though I have 3 kilos of wool yarn. A lot of that yarn is like 100% wool, which is not good to make socks of because they get worn out after 5 uses. Trust me, I've tried. But this yarn is a mix. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's pretty. That would be perfect for sock knitting. It's such a pretty color. I love it. Mom says, well, how much do you need for a pair of socks? And I was like, 2 balls. And then I was holding these, and then I saw these. The exact same yarn, just different color. And I was like, oh my God, I love these colors. They're so gorgeous, so earth tones, and I love it. Mom said, well, you want to knit socks from those two? And I was like, yeah, I love knitting socks. So my mom was super nice, and she bought this for me. And I'm very grateful. And I don't know if you remember what I mentioned earlier about the blanket I wanted to knit. So Mom bought this for me. We went home and I looked at the yarns when I got home, and Mom came and grabbed onto one of these balls so she can look at it too, and was like, oh, this is nice and soft, and I can knit a blanket out of this, says my mom. And I'm just sitting here with the other ball of yarn, looking at the colors and starting to laugh my ass off. And Mom looks at me, looks at the yarn, and realized why I was laughing. Because these are the exact colors that I said I wanted to knit a garter stitch blanket out of. For some reason, and when we were in the yarn store, we were talking about me wanting to do that. And yet, none of us connected the dots with this yarn. So that was also a moment where I started to laugh until tears came out of my eyes because it was too hilarious, too good. So yeah. And Mom like, okay, do you want me to go back? I can drive back and see if they have more so you can like have your garter stitch blanket. And I was like, I'm pretty sure they did not have enough of that yarn. I didn't, because I added it up how much I needed, and I was like, I probably need like, to get the size I want, I might need like 15, 16 balls of yarn. And I'm pretty sure they did not have that there. So don't worry about it. I'll find something online because it wasn't like a massive sale on this yarn. So I'm sure I'll find something online that will get me the yarn. Yeah. So, having gotten this from my mom and having realized that, hey, this is the colors that I want from a garter stitch blanket, I went online, to an online yarn store that I have bought yarn from before and realized they were having massive sales on drops yarn. They were having a bunch of good sales. So I went into the website just to see if they had any good ones or good sales for what I wanted. And they did have some sale. And I had some money to spend because I got money for my birthday. So now I have a lot more yarn. In total, in these boxes, and yes, I've opened them to just make sure that the colors were right. These boxes contain 41 balls of yarn for different purposes. And there is a twist, because apparently I like to do that to myself. I mentioned that I really wanted to knit a pair of wool shorts, so I figured out how much yarn I needed. According to the pattern, I would need 7 balls of yarn. So I ordered 8 to try to make sure. And ooh, gosh, it's open on the other side. And okay, hold on. I got now 2, 4, 6. Okay, never mind. The pattern said I needed 7, so I got 10. Not 8, I got 10 of this yarn. And I have knitted wrist warmers of the same exact yarn, and I love it. I mean, it was the yarn that I kind of considered knitting a sweater of, but this will be for my butt. And it will help me keep my butt warm if I manage to knit a pair of wool shorts. I've never tried that before. And okay, how do I show you the tag properly? There you go. And it's basically a medium gray color, so because I wanted something somewhat neutral. So yeah, 10 balls of that, even though the pattern said 7. But you know, it was I don't remember the prices, but it was a decent. I think it was like 40% off. Which is like, wait, what? So yeah, 10 balls of that. And I figured, since it's such a neutral color, when I'm done knitting my wool shorts, I don't really, it doesn't matter how much yarn that is left, because I can knit wrist warmers out of it, and it's a neutral color, and it's super soft and nice and warm. So that was the first. Okay, and then I'm gonna show you in a different. And then I was talking about knitting a sweater. I want to knit a simple raglan sweater. I've done that a couple of times now, but I want a cable going up on each arm. One on each arm, that's it. Simple raglan, but with one cable on top of each arm. And I wanted green. And I have already 3 green sweaters, but they're not wool sweaters. So I figured I would try something new. So I'm trying this one. And there's the rest of the tag. And as you can see, it's bright green. And I can't help but think, I mean, I think it looks great with my hair. So, and it's the thicker yarn, because the other wool sweaters I had, the yarn called for like 3mm needles generally. So it was thinner. This one calls for 4mm needles. So it's the thicker yarn. And I don't know, I'm excited. So and the gauge is different from the other yarn I had, so I knew I needed more. According to the pattern, with this gauge, I would probably need 12 balls of yarn, or 11 or 12. And I know knitting cables takes a little bit more yarn, so to be on the safe side, I ordered 15 balls of yarn, hoping it's enough. It should be. I mean, patterns is 11 or 12, I'm not sure. I ordered 15. It should be enough for a sweater. I'm very excited. And then, you know how I mentioned the garter stitch blanket, and how I thought this was perfect. This was sold out, which sucked, but I was like, oh, I'll just wait a few days. Maybe it'll come back in stock. Cool. And then I started to look at it, because even though it has like all the perfect colors that I wanted, I started thinking, because I've knitted several pairs of socks in the same yarn with like multicolored, and the stretches of color is not very long. So, and I didn't want like big blocks of color, but I think it would be very messy with so many different colors, because it is a lot of different colors. I think I kind of like counted like 8 different ones that are easy separated. So I don't think the stretches of color are long enough to have a garter stitch blanket look the way I want it to. Still love the colors though, so I still might try it at some point. And I did order the yarn, and like 2 days after it all shipped, I was told that this yarn was back in stock. Great. But I had already changed my mind. Kind of. I might still do a garter stitch blanket in this color, but that's not what I ordered, because I ordered this one, and this is the one I got from the store, and you can see they're different, like they're different dye lots. You can see it on back here, and this is the one I bought from the store, or my mom bought for me. This is the one I'm getting. So when I opened the box earlier, and I was like, oh my god, they're not the same, and they're really not. They're the same color, but the dye lot is different, and can you believe how different they are? I mean, I knew they might not be the exact same, but this is more like bright, and this is more like muted. I will admit that I was hoping for the bright one. I got a muted one, but it's fine, because I don't need like the brightest colored, and I didn't want the brightest color, but yeah. All the ones I have are now the muted one, so they don't quite actually fit as well. But I have, I think, if I'm not entirely mistaken, I have 16 balls of this yarn. It's going to be a beautiful garter stitch blanket, although not what I originally intended, but I think it's going to be great. Will I start it right away? Probably not, but you never know, you know? But yeah, I weighed in the yarn, the wool yarn, as I said, May 1st. I came out at just about 3 kilos, but with the addition of this, I now have, hold on, let me think, 5.2 kilos. No, 5.3. Yeah, I now have 5.3 kilos of wool yarn again, which is more than what I started the year with, so yay. But at the same time, all the yarn was on sale, so I'm getting a cheaper wool shorts, sweater, garter stitch blanket, and 2 pairs of socks. So I'm not sad about it. I feel like it's good use of my money to spend a lot of money on yarn. But yeah, that was a longer knitting diaries than usual. Keep your fingers crossed and hit the like button in hopes that I will be capable of finishing some patterns. Crochet patterns for table runners. I don't know. I'm hoping. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Knitting Diaries, even though it was, you know, quite a lot of crochet happening here, or have happened. That's probably more correct English. Anyway, with the yarn that I have, crochet, like table runners and all is the way to go for most of the yarn. So that's gonna happen in the next little bit. And I have a editing knit that I'm working on. It's red. It's a specific type of yarn. I'm gonna show it off when it's done. It's super simple, and when that is done, I might, even though I really should wait with the new yarn, I might start my new garter stitch blanket, you know. I really like that. So anyway, that was it. This is a long episode, I feel. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something interesting to look at. Like, you know, beautiful colors. I have a lot of them. I also have a lot of bland colors when it comes to this yarn, because I have several of this color. Yeah, it's not all that interesting, but it's great for like trying out things, because I don't think it was super expensive. Not that I know, because, you know, old yarn. God knows when I got it or how I got it, stuff like that. So, but that was it. Before I like talk my way far away from knitting and crochet, I'm gonna let you go. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for subscribing if you have, and if you haven't, you might want to push that button if you want to see me do stuff with yarn, and apparently occasionally buying yarn, because it was on sale. It's yarn. I want to do stuff. It happens. Yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy some knitting or some crochet or both. And I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!